Collected herein are personal accounts and clippings from the journals of those most likely to have encountered a being known as the Spriggan in the deep forests of Iral. Many have contributed to the attempted documentation of this creature, though most did so unintentionally. By great providence, it is also believed that a notebook belonging to the creature was recovered during the capture. These entries are not in chronological order, simply in order of collection. A hunter's recount. I've told a few of my village folk and even fellow hunters of this day, and none seemed to accept that I was of sober mind and clear eye. Those who would offer me a shred of belief would just as quickly turn down any idea of abnormality, suggesting I must have seen a small animal or some wandering forest freak. I suppose to the latter they're not too far off the mark, eh? Right, so as it were, I was tracking a small boar. I'd been following the bastard for nearly an hour, and I can finally see it. He's more interested in the bushes in front of him than the tree 30 feet behind. I took in the air around me. My eyes felt as if widened of perspective, for I could see perfectly everything around me. I pulled back on the string and felt the warm grip of confidence as I loosed the arrow. I wish even still that I had not been so hasty despite the ease of the shot. All at once I became aware that I was not so perceptive as I thought, that I was perhaps unwelcome, that I was not alone. I became aware of a small pair of yellow eyes, impossibly far away for the light they reflected, but nevertheless locked upon me and meeting my own gaze. I was dumbstruck. My mind divided between a multitude of old forest wisdom for dealing with animals. I thought to scream at it, to make myself opposing and large, to feign submission, to at least protect and secure my kill. I, for some reason, chose to run. But I do not feel like I made that choice. Something inside me made that choice. My mind and body simply followed. I ran at near a dead sprint until I saw the safety of a familiar tree line, and there I collapsed until mid-evening, woken by a pail of water and assumptions of overconsumption. My fellows in the lodge were simply annoyed, thinking I had spun a wild excuse to explain a poor drunken shot, causing me to be chased off by the boar. I know what the hell I saw. And clearly you know something too, if it was worth coming out here and paying so well for my time. The Black Picnic. We were so much younger then. Grown, to be sure. But there was still the spark of energy, ambition, you remember? I was with this sweet girl from the town we each grew up in. I'd planned a nice day out, a day to take our minds off the harsh continent. Having known each other for so long, we were a great pair, and I wanted to ask for her hand that day. You see, there was supposedly going to be an eclipse during the afternoon, and I thought it was a clever idea to use the rare moment, make the day all the more special, right? Well, some people in our town were rather superstitious about the stars and moon. They would always say not to even go outside if the moon was in the wrong shape, and strange things like that. Sorry, I'm getting off topic. So it's the day of the picnic. We've been out in a large clearing for a few hours when the sky starts to go darker and darker, until it's practically as if night won over the day at last. To the surprise of neither, and the laughter of both of us, we didn't grow a third arm or 10 eyes, mocking those back home lightheartedly. After another minute or so, I reached for the small box I had stashed in a pocket, as now was surely the perfect moment. I I guess something else agreed about the timing. There was this horrible noise that began to spread from all directions of the forest, like a rushing wind without the flow of air. It grew louder and louder until very suddenly it was cut off in a violent scream, echoing through the wood into a deafening silence. We bolted home, leaving everything we brought. As we ran, the moon's grasp began to weaken around the sun, and by the time we had begun frantically asking one another what in hells we heard, the sun was bright and unshackled in the sky. We tried to forget what happened. We made a pact to never bring it up around each other or people we met. Eventually, we couldn't look at each other without remembering. She left one night. Nobody could tell me where to. Greed. Me and the boys brought down a bear the other week. The thing was massive. This place seems plenty active if things can grow that big, so we're gonna make a clearing tomorrow and start setting up a camp from there. Not like anyone's gonna come out here and bother us about it. People need all the fur, meat, and bones they can get. The lads found an old den yesterday. Had a couple of bones left around, and obvious resting spots where the grass died, but apparently they'd been gone quite a while. I don't trust it. Leave it alone, I said. Something else will come knocking, but what do they care? A perfect place to stash the products of our work, if properly sealed, or otherwise defended. Not worth the argument, aside from them outnumbering me. I don't feel right out here. Some of the boys went out earlier this afternoon and came back without Bronson. When everybody asked what the hell happened to him, they tried to pull some bit about how they thought he went back early to grab a couple of boar pikes. I've always been able to see through Hamish's lying face, though. He's terrible at it. Always the same half step backwards and opens his eyes a bit. Says it used to work where he's from. Dolt. I pressed him about it later, and he tried to brush me off, but he tripped over himself a little at first. Knew I wasn't just being paranoid. Forest is a strange place, but animals are still animals no matter where they're from. They have patterns, behaviors, things we can expect and help to understand how dangerous a place can be. There aren't supposed to be wolves out here. Wolves aren't supposed to be alone, and they aren't supposed to be that big. And most importantly, I've never heard of a wolf that leaves feathers behind instead of fur. Leaving. And you find this note, have the sense to leave this godforsaken forest. Don't look for me, don't look for them, they're all gone. I don't care where it took them or what it did, but I'm not joining them. The final note in the series appears hastily scrawled. The journal containing these writings was found roughly half a mile away from the camp, hung from a tree branch by its clasp. Recovered Merchant's Journal. We've been contracted to make a shipment of simple medicines and various household items in bulk to the town of Raygost within 2 weeks' time. Normally, that would be easy money, but the horses have been slow going for the past few days, and I begin to worry for my payment. Some of my company had difficulty sleeping in the night, each claiming a feeling of being watched, despite no sign of beasts. This will surely slow our pace yet more, but I digress. As a cosmic balancing of sorts, the cart horses seem to have overcome their anxiety of the forest, so it's better than not. We made rest at the site of a defunct logging camp near a crossroad. It would seem the workers deemed the place unworthy of effort and abandoned the structures. We're 4 days' travel from Raygost now, but I would have liked to be much closer. I've begun to have strange dreams in the night of a recurring theme, of a humanoid figure reaching out from within a great tree. Sometimes a pleading hand, sometimes a face, albeit difficult to properly study their features. When I confided in my guards over the fire, One spoke up and said that they'd all had the dream once or twice as well. We will be taking the longer but properly forested road out of town rather than the way we came. The horses would not move this morning. I do not know what strange fixation held their gaze, but the most we could force from them was a few steps at a time. Some of my protective detail briefly went into the woods to investigate what the horses could have seen, but found nothing. They have all been watching the tree line for the entire afternoon, however, so they clearly are on edge about something. Later in the evening, they took to sharing tales and legends from their homelands to pass the darkness. I know not what was said nor seen, as I was paying more attention to our map than their conversation. But suddenly Avon jumped up from the fire and swiftly brought an arrow to full draw. By the time myself and the rest of our group had turned to track what had alarmed him, the arrow sunk firmly into the center of a tree. When questioned about what sudden madness had overtaken him, Avon stated that he had seen a creature standing in front of the tree as he shot, but claimed it somehow hid itself within the tree. At this point, some of the others began mocking him, asking if he'd slept enough or drank too much. I said nothing, because I've never known the man to be so rash even when heavily intoxicated. His words were nonetheless difficult for me to take seriously, though I did not fully disregard his reaction. The dreams may have let up for now, but the forest itself gets stranger the further to Ragost we travel. May the next 3 days pass quickly and without hazard. The horses have begun to stop mid-journey once again. This time, however, they are not fixated on the trees, but rather defiantly refusing to move ahead. They huff and whinny in protest, attempting to turn away unless manually guided. I know not what has overtaken them now, but even my detail is beginning to show the same anxiety that grips the beasts. I cannot hear them, but those at the front guiding the horses have been whispering to each other for nearly an hour now. I at first believed it idle chatter, but am growing suspicious given the surrounding events of the past week. A great tempest has swept in during the afternoon and turned our trail to a sinking pit. We have been forced to make rest off the side of the road, creating what at first sight would seem like a bandit's toll blockade. I pray that we will be able to move on swiftly, provided the storm has let up or broken entirely by morning. We may reach the town within the bounds of our contract. The lightning has brought down a large tree onto the path behind us. Thankfully, none of our supplies were damaged. When we reach Ragost, we will inform them to send word for a team of oxen and woodsmen to haul the thing away. I've been awoken in the early dark hours by the sounds of the continuing storm, accompanied by the thunderous sound of 2 horses sprinting away from the camp. Some bastard must have slipped them free. I've locked the inside for now, but from what I can tell, my guards are... The water it brought was rancid. What thing needs this? Fun seeing the large one running with his boxes. Tried making others do so. Many left him. Weak pack with their weak leader. The beasts I've helped were wiser and stronger. Returned for what they left. Still left much. Cared not for these pages, nor what I took. Came with new beasts, forgot the old. Many others now with him, wanted all they could reclaim, cared little for him. The needle stings, the sealed wound burns no further. The cloth seals my blood until it ceases. The gray stone is strange. Smells like everything and nothing. The black stone is soft. Smells of old fires. Great men bring great beasts to carry the fallen. They tear apart its body and branches. Working men bring more men. This is always the way. They hunt sloppily. They take more than due. They are like those who came once before, drove away all beasts, stole all they could. They seek me. Fear has grown a heedless blossom. They will find me.